The Tea-Biz podcast delivers tea news that you need to know. A recap of the week's major headlines with commentary and cultural trends hosted by Dan Bolton. It is the voice of origin for tea professionals and enthusiasts worldwide.
The Tea-Biz podcast and blog connect you directly to experts in the tea lands. Listen as their voices reveal the news, innovations, cultural insights, and consumer trends that most impact the industry. Paired with Tea Journey, a digital magazine for tea enthusiasts, the Tea-Biz portal is a global resource for everyone who loves tea. Hello, everyone. Here are this week's headlines. A Scotland court will hear Kenyan tea workers' lawsuit. The landmark class action was filed against James Finlay, Kenya. Market-leading Twisted Hard Tea doubles down on ABV. EGCG is a promising treatment for uterine fibroids. Plus, World Tea Academy Director Lisa Boalt Richardson joins us this week on the 10th anniversary of the Academy, an online resource offering comprehensive, basic, and advanced training for tea professionals and enthusiasts. The program has taught classes to more than 1,250 students from 64 countries. And now, a word from our sponsor.
What makes a perfect cup of Ceylon tea? The perfect cup is from the tea businesses that ensure the protection of all the children living within their tea estates. We salute Kailani Valley, Telawakili, Bogawantalawa, Harana, and Elliptia tea estates. Support Save the Children, Sri Lanka.
The suit alleges James Finlay, Kenya, exposed workers to conditions that would, quote, clearly be harmful, end quote, resulting in permanent damage to their spines from lifting and carrying up to 12 kilos of tea, and then walking a half mile on rough and hilly ground and slopes. Workers were required to plug as much as 30 kilos a day and paid around $20 for up to 12 hours of daily toil in a 6-day week. 2,000 workers reported mainly musculoskeletal injuries from lifting and carrying tea. Finlay's employs about 7,000 workers on estates that cover 25,000 acres in Kericho County, Kenya. The filing asserts the company was bound to take reasonable care for the safety of employees while at work and respond to the high incidence of injury by assessing the methods of work to reduce or eliminate the risk of injury to the employees. This included providing the employees with reasonable training to carry out their duties without risk of injury, paying them reasonable wages so that they would not be obliged to work under unreasonable hours or carry unreasonable weights over unreasonable distances and uneven terrain, end quote, according to the suit. Aberdeen-based James Finlay defended its health and safety record and argued the trial should be conducted in Kenya under the Kenyan Work Injury Benefits Act. Patrick McGuire, a partner at Thompson Solicitors and lawyer for the Kenyan workers, said of the judgment, quote, "It is almost impossible to overstate the importance of today's judgment. It is a historic day in Scots law. It represents the passing of two key milestones in the Kenyan workers' journey for justice, and it serves as a stark message to every company based in Scotland that they must take their employees' safety seriously no matter where they work worldwide. The court has spoken. If you choose to set your company up in Scotland, then the Scottish courts will follow you wherever you operate," end quote. Finlay's attorneys argued that in Kenya, the case will be more suitably tried, taking into account the interest of all the parties and the ends of justice. Finlay's maintains the company was legally established in Kenya and remains bound by Kenyan laws. A spokesman for Finlay said, "James Finlay, Kenya, is legally established in Kenya, and we respect the sovereignty of the Republic of Kenya as an independent state and are bound by her constitution and laws. The safety and welfare of everyone connected with our business is always our number one priority." End quote. Lawyers representing 1,300 workers countered that had similar working conditions existed in the UK, Finlay likely would have been shut down instantaneously by the health and safety executive, as reported by the Herald. Business Insight. The suit could lead to tens of millions of dollars in settlements with individual victims for pain, suffering, and financial losses. James Finlay said it is reviewing the court's ruling and, quote, deciding on appropriate next steps, end quote. Twisted Tea, the category-leading hard tea brand, recently introduced Extreme, an 8% alcohol by volume extension in 2 flavors. The original formula contains brewed tea with 23 grams of sugar. It was released in 2001 by Boston Beer and has a 5% ABV, about the same as beer. Hard tea, unlike beer, has 0 grams of total carbs and around 130 calories per 12-ounce can. The category is competitive, with Lipton recently launching a line of hard teas in 4 flavors. Mike's Hard Lemonade and Zima pioneered the flavored malt beverage FMB category, now led by Twisted Tea, which outsells Boston Beer's flagship Samuel Adams Beer family 3-1 in chain retail, according to their website Good Beer Hunting. Twisted Tea more than doubled its share of non-seltzer packaged flavored malt beverages from 10% in 2017 to nearly 23%, becoming the number 14 best-selling brand in the beer and near beer category. The Twisted Tea family increased chain retail sales by 185% between 2016 and 2020, with no draft presence. According to Good Beer Hunting, sales currently exceed Mike's Hard Lemonade in chain retail for the first time. About 60% of customers are male. Boston Beer founder and president Jim Koch says, quote, "We thought the market for Twisted Tea was going to be yuppies who drink Snapple, and it turned out to be blue-collar guys," end quote. Extreme Twisted Tea is available in 2 flavors, blue Raz and lemon, at a suggested retail price of $7.49 for a 24-ounce can. A 12-pack of the original sells for $19.99. Biz Insight. There are now 150 hard tea brands in the market, an increase of 80% since 2020, according to BevNet. Twisted Tea remains firmly at the top with a 91% share of hard tea sales in off-premise channels as of May, according to BWC, earning the Boston Beer Company a 50% share of all flavored malt beverages, according to Boston Beer CEO Dave Berwick. Researchers at Johns Hopkins Medicine report growing evidence that epigallocatechin gallate, EGCG, found in green tea may reduce fibroid cell growth. The preclinical proof-of-concept cell growth study was published in peer-reviewed scientific reports in May. The laboratory study was designed to identify biochemical mechanisms inhibiting fibroid growth. Fibroids are generally small, benign, non-cancerous tumors that grow on the surface of the uterus. Fibroids occur in 20 to 40% of women through their reproductive ages. James Seegars, Jr., a doctor and professor of gynecology and obstetrics at Johns Hopkins University, writes that, quote, "The purpose of this study was to examine how EGCG works to treat and prevent uterine fibroids. There's no standard protocol for uterine fibroid disease management or prevention, and no tools to prevent their growth. So finding a safe non-surgical therapy is important, end quote. Medical Life Science News writes that an estimated 77% of women will develop fibroids in their lifetime, most of them by age 50. Black and Hispanic women develop them at 1.5 to 2 times the rate of white women. Many people with uterine fibroids are without symptoms, but about 25% experience significant symptoms, including heavy uterine bleeding, pelvic pain, and infertility. Researchers found that EGCG reduced fibronectin protein levels by 46 to 52% compared with an untreated control group of fibroid cells. They also found that EGCG disrupted pathways involved in fibroid tumor cell growth, movement, signaling, metabolism, and they saw an 86% decrease in connective tissue factor growth compared with the control group. Uterine fibroids are the leading cause of hospitalization hysterectomy in the United States, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Sciences. Arvinda Anantharaman in Bengaluru reports on tea auction prices for sale 27.
India Tea Price Report for Sale 27, the week ending 8th July 2023. In North India, Orthodox grades saw a sale volume of 83%, an average price of 217 per kilo, while CTC sold 75%, an average price of 211 per kilo. Darjeeling relied on local buyers and exporters, but 61% sold for below 300 rupees a kilo. Tata Consumer Products picked up about 2,700 kilos of Darjeeling. Hindustan Unilever was active for CTC grades. And in Guwahati, about 42% sold for sub 200 per kilo, while 17% sold for 300 rupees and above. In the south, the overall sale volume was 67%, an average price of 107 rupees a kilo. There were higher outlots, especially in Orthodox grades, and Orthodox sale volume was only 51%. Exports were low, and there's a subdued demand from overseas buyers, and European recession is really impacting tea here. CTC leaf saw better demand with 80% sale volume, and blenders were active for CTC dust. In crop and weather, the monsoon continues. Light to moderate rain continues in North Bengal, Assam, and Nilgiris and Kerala as well.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Nish. I grew up in an organic tea farm and founded Nepal Tea Collective in 2016. Tea is not just a beverage for me, but a catalyst for social change, sustainably empowering hardworking artisans like my parents for the past 30 years. I'm on a mission to make the whole world aware of the goodness of Nepali teas and the good that comes from supporting growers in this remarkable land. If you haven't tasted Nepali teas yet, you're missing out. Our award-winning teas are making headlines. Find out why. Visit Nepal Tea Collective's website to get a free sample of this extraordinary taste of the Himalayas. That's nepalteacollective.com. Or just send me an email at nish, Nish, at nepalteacollective.com. Cheers.
World Tea Academy Director Lisa Boalt Richardson joins us this week on the 10th anniversary of the Academy, an online resource offering comprehensive basic and advanced training for tea professionals and enthusiasts. The program has taught classes to more than 1,250 students from 64 countries. Educator Lisa Boalt Richardson first began teaching tea professionals the basics of cultivation and processing and how to cup tea as an instructor with the Specialty Tea Institute, where she later served as a board member. In 2015, Donna Feldman, the founding director of the World Tea Academy, recruited Lisa as a substitute teacher for the growing online program. Lisa advanced to assistant director in 2018 and succeeded Feldman when Donna left the post in 2019. In the decade since its founding, instructors have taught 5,200 classes. The Academy has awarded nearly 400 certifications since graduating its first class of 36 students in July 2013. Certifications include Certified Tea Sommelier, Certified Tea Health Expert, Certified Tea Blender, and Certified Tea Aroma Expert. Today, the Academy enrolls between 150 and 230 students a year. The cost to become a certified tea specialist is $2,173, which includes 6 3-week basic courses. Students must also complete 1 advanced course. To experience tea in their homes and offices, students purchase tea and supplies, bringing the total expense to about $2,525. I just want to say how pleased I am that you are part of the Tea Biz podcast this week, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
When the Academy was founded a decade ago, what was the tea industry's most pressing educational need, and who brought the spark to the fire?
George Jage, who founded World Tea Media, he saw the need to modernize tea education. I think he was well above his time. Online is everywhere now. Here we are, online podcast. But back then, it wasn't that common. So he had the vision to do this because he held STI at World Tea Expo. And he thought, there's this demand, and why can't we create it? So he chose Donna Feldman to lead the charge to do it. But George was highly involved in the process in the early beginning. And he kind of helped Donna give her the guide of, the classes are going to be 3 weeks long. But I think the need was, how do we get tea education to more people without tea rooms? So I think it was, let's get more people educated in an easier way, but still with a solid tea education program. So I think that was the need. STI was around. I don't think it was started to be a competition for Specialty Tea Institute. I think it was just, and people learn differently. So some people still don't enjoy online classes. It's just a different learning approach. So if you need in-person classes, we always say, well, World Tea Academy isn't your thing then. But if you can, and I do think a lot more people are adept at it because it's just more common now to learn online. So, but back then, 10 years ago, it wasn't. So it was just to educate more people and still a highly qualified program and 3-week segments.
George Jade shaped the program, but Donna Feldman grabbed the reins, writing the entire curriculum. She was also a well-organized and able administrator like yourself. Will you articulate her vision as a gifted educator with a breadth of experience in the tea business?
I talked with Donna about this, and she said, I don't know. Her father was an educator. And so she said, I think it just came naturally to me to put together the classes. And her initial thing was, I'm going to write classes for when I started out in tea, what I wanted to know. And I loved that because that was just so great because, she was in tea for a long time, helped run a tea cafe with Brian Keating. And so it was, what would I feel like was the right information to disseminate that was important to know about tea. So creating the core classes, and what I like too, because I'm a very organized person, is having it succinctly put together. You take this many classes, you get this certification. It's a very organized program. And that way you're not trying to sort out, what do I need? How many classes? She had already written the curriculum for STI, but it needed to be in a different format and a different way. Our core classes, which she wrote all of them, I think was built on how do I develop the student, core 1 first, basics, core 2 is tea processing methods after making the tea. And it just kind of evolved into that. And she's a very brilliant woman. I'm so honored that I had a chance to work with her.
So how did the Academy differ from STI training?
So, I taught at STI and served on the board. So I do think I have a pretty decent perspective of the difference. Because it was on location, you had to jam pack the day full. And it was all day for a class, sometimes 2 days. I mean, as a student, I remember like, wow, this is overwhelming and exhausting. World Tea Academy is self-paced. You read the materials, you watch the videos, you have a live instructor, not necessarily in the class, but always there to answer your questions and grade your assignments and grade your test. People can still do their work. They can do their classes on the weekends. And it opened up an international market, which surprised Donna and George the most, how much they thought it would be U.S. or U.S., North America, Canada. And it really did open it up. So, 64 countries now to date. But I think that's the main difference. It's online and it's broken out into many segments. You can log on when you want, read, watch your videos, do your assignments. They do have due dates, but you can do it anytime within the week to get your assignment done.
We discussed how, a decade ago, the Academy pioneered online education for professionals previously limited to training in tea rooms. What are the most pressing educational needs facing the industry today?
Well, I don't know that they've changed that much. Tea is 5,000-year-old beverage. It's got a long history. They are creating new blends and new flavors and all of that. There's new marketing aspects. There's new trends and all of that. But I do think understanding the basics is important. So if you don't have the basic idea of what tea is, how it's grown, where it's grown, what it tastes like, how to cup, for some reason, it's, we're in a fast-paced society. People don't want to take time to learn, and they just want to know. And tea is experiential. And you can study tea all you want, but if you're not having the experience of cupping teas, tasting teas, understanding flavor profile, understanding your market, your consumer, all of that, it's just really important to be in the business and be a professional. I think it's embarrassing for some of our students that come and say, my customers asked me this and I couldn't answer. And we get people in from tea companies, large tea companies, global tea companies take the training. They send their employees through. We get people from flavor companies. We get entrepreneurs. We get some that are just enthusiasts that just want to know about tea so they can be a better buyer of tea. They can experience it in a deeper level. We create courses when we feel the need. And we decided that, 6 core and 16 advanced is important. The breadth and depth, I don't know what else you would write about, but if it comes up, then we'll create new classes. We want to keep up to date. Like I said, we update our classes. We update assignments. We just added in some studies. Tea is a niche market. It's not, here in the U.S., North America, it's, coffee is king, but the tea has its own place. And I think people are finding, even if, they have a coffee shop, they need to offer tea. We do have coffee shop owners, coffee chains taking our classes. They do see, I've spoken at coffee, trade shows before because there is that need to understand it. Will a coffee shop have more teas than they have coffee? No, but they can meet the demand for the customer if they don't like coffee or it's later in the day, they want to do something different. So I do think there's always a market for good quality tea education. It's just a matter of, marketing, like you say, and helping it grow. I mean, our main source is word of mouth and Google searches. And it's amazing that it still comes up, and we have students, and we've stayed consistent over the years with tea education. So will it be a multi-billion-dollar business? No, I don't think so. But I do think there's a place in it, and it will be consistent if supported.
As we bring the interview to a close, will you share your personal tea journey?
Well, I love tea. I got into tea, 23 years ago, and I will never stop. Every week I grow and learn. And I want to encourage our students to do that too. That, just once so you got a certification, that's great, but that doesn't stop. It's an organoleptic experience. You'll lose it. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. You need to continue to grow and learn and keep up with trends. So loving the beverage definitely helps. One of my most joyous experiences is I start off with a student in Core 1, and they struggled. They couldn't cup the teas. They didn't understand it. The words weren't coming to them, and we work with them. And so, then they go on and take advanced classes, and I'm like, wow, look at you. Yeah. I mean, it just brings me so much joy to watch them evolve into this. I never thought I could have this tasting vocabulary. I never thought I would understand tea to this level. That is just so rewarding. For me, being the director of World Tea Academy, the greatest joy is to watch the students grow and begin to say, wow. And I don't see them physically, but I see them, in their assignments, in what they write, you just watch, I'm not literally, but figuratively, their eyes open up and they have this epiphany that this is like, they're just getting it.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
And what a nice way to end the conversation. Intrigued by what you heard in today's podcast? Would you like to learn more from our global network of Tea-Biz journalists and tea experts? Remember to visit the Tea-Biz website for more comprehensive coverage. That's www.t-biz.com. Thanks for listening. Farewell till next week.
Produced by Adavita Studios. Connect your voice to the world.